Rangers lose again, and the offense didn't do much of anything. And is it time to start worrying about Corey Seager?
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Ranger fan, covered this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Ranger. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about a weird and confusing loss to the Kansas City Royals, a rough start for Patrick Corbin, a very rough stretch for Corey Seager, and just some overall confusion with this Rangers team. Before we get into all that, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Now, the Rangers lost again last night, 2 in a row, meaning they have lost the series to the Kansas City Royals, who had lost 6 straight heading into this series, whose offense had looked truly terrible and dead heading into this series. But back-to-back games, the Royals scored 6 runs on the Rangers, and Texas was not able to come back against that. 4 runs given up by Patrick Corbin in 5 innings, 2 runs given up by Howie Milner, who has just been on a really, really rough stretch as of late. And despite taking a 2-0 lead in the first inning against Kris Bubic, who has been very good, who has been an exceptional pitcher, who had an ERA below 2 heading into this game, Rangers knocked it all the way up there to 212 with the 3 runs they scored against him. But alas, that was not enough. The Rangers offense doing something with runners in scoring position, not scoring that many runs, but 6 extra base hits in this one. And it wasn't enough to get 4 runs or 5 runs or 6 runs in this one. Rangers were 5 for 13 with runners in scoring position and 6 extra base hits, and still somehow only scored 3 runs. This was a great day offensively for Sam Haggerty and Wyatt Langford up there in the leadoff and number 2 spots in this Rangers lineup. Also a good day for Adolis Garcia, who got a couple hits, including a hustle double on a play that I did not think he'd be able to hustle into a double. Multiple extra base hits for Wyatt Langford, 2 to be specific, 2 doubles. Also back-to-back doubles from Josh Young and Jake Berger, scoring the Rangers' 3rd and final run of this game. Also a leadoff triple by Sam Haggerty, who has 3, which I am pretty sure is the team lead for the Rangers, despite him playing 29 games now. He's got 3 triples. Nobody else on this team has more than 1. The only people with 1 are Josh Young, Leo Tavares, Jock Peterson, and Josh Smith. So, I believe, the rest of the team has 4 triples, and Sam Haggerty has 3 of them. And despite all of that, this Rangers offense still wasn't able to do enough. The pitching staff wasn't able to hold down this Royals lineup, who went just 3 for 7 with runners scoring. The Rangers had 9 runners left on base. They had a couple opportunities, including a lot of opportunities for Corey Seager with runners in scoring position. And Seager, a whopping 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts in this one. And some of them were some pretty ugly strikeouts indeed. I mean, a 10-game hitting streak now for Marcus Semien. He only had 1 hit in a 1 for 4 day with a couple of strikeouts as well. The rest of this lineup did enough, but did their jobs, but it wasn't enough to fend off this very good Royals pitching staff. I mean, it should have been enough with how bad this Royals team has been, but it was just not a good day for Patrick Corbin. The magic for Patrick Corbin seems to be fading. I mean, whatever they had figured out early on, it's not like this was an awful start for him. It's not a good start, though. This is 2 in a row that were not really good starts by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, the last start, he was given 10, 15 runs of support, 16 in total, I believe 10 when he was in the game, and he kept getting himself into trouble. And this one, it was really just 1 inning that got away, the 3rd inning, where he allowed a 3-run homer by Maikel Garcia, who has been very, very good. Maikel Garcia driving in 4 of the 6 runs on the day. One of them driven in by Jonathan India, and one of them was just driven in by Rave on a bunt, a a team first at bat, something the Rangers did not do the best job of in this one. But for Corbin, I mean, the Rangers just needed a little bit more. They needed a little bit more length. I mean, 5 innings for them in that game against Minnesota. He went the distance in Washington in a 2-0 loss and pitched all 8 innings because the Rangers got shut out and didn't do anything. So the Nationals didn't need to bat in the bottom of that 9th inning. But still, these last 2 games have just not been great for him, getting himself into trouble, not getting himself deep into games. And the Rangers have a bullpen game in the finale of this series, despite needing 4 innings from their bullpen in the day before. And the guy who's starting the bullpen game pitched the night before and is now going to pitch a second game consecutively, a day game after a night game. We'll get into that in just a second, but this is frustrating. The Rangers need what Patrick Corbin has been giving them. He has been giving them quality starts. He's been giving them mostly chances to get back into games, but the Rangers can't score 4 runs. They can't win. That seems to be the case. And now, even if they're scoring fewer than 4 runs, sometimes they would still be winning in those games because, they'd be facing inept offenses. They'll face another inept offense, and actually inept offense this weekend against the Pirates, who will also have a depleted bullpen because they're throwing a doubleheader the day before they head back to Detroit. They have to fly after a doubleheader. Hopefully that should make life easier for the Rangers this weekend series. But again, this is back-to-back frustrating starts by Rangers starters who have just 4 guys in this rotation. It seems like the Rangers are sticking with that for now with the bullpen day, the 3rd bullpen game in the span of 8-9 games. Not ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but it's what the Rangers are deciding to do at this point. They have 4 starters in their rotation. I think that they could definitely make a 40-man roster spot and could have called somebody up for this day game and just had a sacrificial lamb, but that's not the case. And this is just another frustrating day for this offense. I mean, it doesn't matter who's stepping up. It feels like just there's this void in the middle of this lineup. You can't string 2-3 hitters together. We could string 2 hitters together that are having good days or good weeks or whatever, but stringing 3 or more where you actually start to produce some runs, it's just not happening for this Rangers offense. And again, an okay day from Corbin just wasn't enough for him this one. He also had a nice pickoff move for Freddie Fermin at first base. I mean, he did a decent job of controlling the running game. He's done a decent job of that all year long. I mean, 4 strikeouts. And, one of those runs on the 3-run homer probably shouldn't have scored had replay review actually been accurately used on a play in the 3rd inning where the Rangers used up their challenge and ended up losing that challenge. And that was the difference between it being a 2-run homer and a 3-run homer by Michael Garcia. Maybe it would have been a different result had there not been a runner on third base, maybe a different pitch sequencing, maybe a different end of that at bat. But that was the day the Rangers were able to get 9 hits off of Chris Bubich, who has been one of the better starters in baseball this year. And they just weren't able to get anything home, or at least get enough home. And part of that was because who was getting some big at-bats with runners in scoring position. A guy who I'm starting to get worried about, the Rangers' alleged best bat, but not their best bat this year, Corey Seager. Is it time to worry about him? All that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Trade Coffee. Let's be real. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual, a lifeline, the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. And if it's that essential, why settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Trade is the number 1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour-over purist, they've got exactly the kind of roast you'll love. I took Trade's quiz and it only took a minute. The first bag they sent me was spot on. The coffee was fresh, smelled amazing, and honestly, it ruined grocery store coffee for me in the best way. And if the first match isn't a perfect fit, Trade will replace it for free until they get it just right. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/LockedOnMLB. That's TRADE.com/LockedOnMLB for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/LockedOnMLB. Shout out to the everyday speaking Locked On Rangers, your first listen every single day. On tomorrow, we'll be back and talking about this bullpen game, this finale. Hopefully the Rangers can salvage one game against this Royals team who has been not good for the last month and a half, and just happens to figure it out against the Texas Rangers. This offense that has been truly terrible for a year and a half now just happens to figure it out this week against the Texas Rangers. Honestly, rude. Quite rude indeed. I did not care for it at all, and I hope that they can just chill out today in this bullpen game, which the Rangers are going with again. They threw a bullpen game on Friday last week against the Chicago White Sox. They were planning on doing another bullpen game this Sunday, which just wild, trying to even thinking that the Rangers could do two bullpen games in one weekend. That ended up not being the case, and Kumar Rocker ended up being called back up. Tyler Mahle placed on the 15-day IL. But the weekend before that final game against the Nationals, a bullpen day that the Rangers ended up winning. They've won their two most recent bullpen games, and we'll see if that trend continues with this one. But it seems like a lot to ask of Shawn Armstrong to keep pitching these bullpen days. He's been exceptional so far. I mean, mostly good outing for the bullpen last night, but 4 different guys being used in the game that the Rangers ended up losing. It's not ideal the day before you throw a bullpen game, and it's not just 24 hours later. It's 18, 15, however many hours later. Not nearly as many. I think it's about 18 hours later. So not the full 24 hours later. So it's going to be harder for these guys who pitched last night to pitch deeper into games. Shawn Armstrong pitched in that game through 12 pitches, 8 strikes, 1 strikeout, no batters reached base against him. We'll see if he goes 1 inning, or maybe they can stretch him out to 2 innings. That feels like a bit much to ask in that game today. We'll see what it ends up looking like. You'll probably know as you're listening to this, or maybe you're listening to this before the game, but it just feels like a lot to ask of this bullpen, especially when as of late, the starters have not been doing a good job of pitching deep into games. They've also been limited because, Jacob deGrom, there's only so many bullets in that arm, and he's been healthy. And with 2 of the best 3 starters on the IL for who knows how long, we'll probably hopefully find out some information about Nathan Eovaldi today and how he's feeling after his most recent bullpen. He's supposed to throw a live bullpen either Saturday or Sunday against hitters in Pittsburgh. We'll see what actually happens with that. I'm assuming that his next start will be at the major league level, hopefully in that series against the Orioles. The Rangers will get him back, because just keep on throwing these bullpen days and you're going to tire out your arms. I mean, the bullpen has mostly done its job this year, but it's been asked to do a lot. Maybe we'll see, quite a few innings from Jacob Latz. He hasn't pitched, I think, since Sunday. It's been a minute since he's pitched. Maybe he can give you some length. Maybe it's just kind of an opener situation with Shawn Armstrong. Chris Martin, who I would have thought would have pitched last night in that close game. He was apparently unavailable after throwing 6 pitches last Friday to get an out or 2 in that bullpen game. He has not pitched since, and he was not available. That's not great. After 5 days, still being unavailable after throwing 6 or 8 pitches. Maybe it's another IL stint for him. Maybe I don't know what's wrong. I've heard nothing about what was actually wrong, only reading in the Dallas Morning News article by Evan Grant that he was unavailable last night before Hoby Milner came in and allowed a couple of runs. I would doubt that Hoby Milner is going to pitch in this one unless it really gets out of hand, because Milner, who had been the Rangers' best reliever for the first 2.5-ish months of the season, the last couple of weeks has just been giving up runs left, right, and center. I mean, 2 walks in the inning yesterday and a hit allowed as well. And one of those runs scored on a bunt play. Just not the cleanest inning from him, and also a perfect inning from Luke Jackson, who we'll see if he pitches in that game or not. The Rangers don't have another off day until, I believe, next Thursday. It's still going to be a while, and they're about to go on a 2-city road trip. And then at the beginning of July, that will be their first day off, and what feels like a hot minute, which I know the last day off was on Monday, but it's been rough for this Rangers squad. And offensively, it was a rough day as well, despite getting so many extra base hits. Part of the reason is because the Rangers went 5 for 13 with runners scoring position, still only scored 3 runs, which make sense. 9 runners left on base, including Sam Haggerty, who got caught stealing. Maybe had he not tried to steal second base with runners on first and third, Wyatt Langford, who singled in the very next inning whenever he got to bat, maybe that would have been an RBI single as opposed to just a different kind of single that was not an RBI. But Corey Seager, just an awful day yesterday, and he has been in a really, really rough stretch over the last 2-3 weeks, and he has had a really tough time hitting lefties, especially. Now, everyone says about Corey Seager, oh, this is a guy who is an incredible hitter because he hits lefties very, very well. And that was the case when Corey Seager was right. Back in 2023, in 166 plate appearances against lefties, he had an 881 OPS and a 1,075 OPS against righties. He hit over 300 against lefties. He slugged over 530 against lefties that season. But for the last couple years, that has not really been the case for Corey Seager. It has been a little bit more of a struggle against lefties. Last year, he had a 944 OPS against right-handed pitchers and a 676 OPS against lefties. That's nearly 200 points lower. And this year, it's been even more dramatic. I mean, he has just been really, really tough against. It's been really tough for him to do anything against lefties. He's hitting below 200 against lefties. His on base is below 230 against lefties. He got a 638 OPS against those lefties and just a 769 OPS against righties. It's not like he's been crushing it against righties really either. The on base has been much better for him as of late. He's got a 380 on base against righties this year. He has had a good on base streak in June. He's got an on base of 349 for the month of June, but he barely has any extra base hits. He is not hitting the ball in the air. He is not hitting it at the correct launch angle. He just has the 2 extra base hits. He had a double against the White Sox on the 14th, and then he had that bloop kind of chop weird double in the first game of the series against Kansas City. Those are the only extra base hits he's had in the month of June. And really, since he's come off the IL, it has been a bit of a struggle for him as well. He does not have a home run in that span, only 6 home runs on the season. I mean, it has just been kind of frustrating and tough to watch the last 28 days, which is, 17 games since he's come off the IL. He's hitting 153 and on base of 320 and slugging just 186. That is a 506 OPS. He's also got 20 strikeouts in 75 plate appearances. That's not the Corey Seager we're used to seeing. Now you look at some of the advanced data, he's still hitting the ball hard. He's just hitting it either right into the ground or he's popping it up. He is not hitting it at the optimal launch angle. I mean, the hard hit percentage, he's hitting it hard more than half of his plate appearances. The average exit velo is in the top 7% of baseball. I mean, he's barreling the ball up. His expected slugging is over 500. His actual slugging is below 400. So that hopefully should start to change. His expected batting average is, 40 points higher, 41 points higher than what his actual batting average is. But you look at the launch angle sweet spot, it's in the bottom 9% of baseball. He's just not hitting it at the right spot. Same with his swing and miss rate. That is up as well. I mean, his swing and miss rate is usually, a little bit worse than his actual strikeout rate because he has tended to, shorten up and he takes aggressive hacks early on in counts and then shortens up late in counts. But it's been rough. The walk rate's been significantly better, but you look at even what he's doing this year on, first pitches, and he's doing better when he takes the first pitch as opposed to when he swings at the first pitch. That's not Corey Seager. That's not the Corey Seager we know. He has swung and put the ball in play 29 times this year on the first pitch of the at-bat. He has 1 home run, 1 double. He's hitting 345, but not getting a whole lot of first pitch homers, not taking those big, huge hacks early on at pitches that are right down the middle. He's been taking a whole lot more of those pitches. And that's not Corey Seager. Some hitters do much better when they're more passive and trying to work an at bat and, see what the pitcher has to offer. But when Corey Seager is not doing damage on the first pitch, something's off. Something has been off with him for most of this year. He hasn't homered since that 2-homer day against Detroit right before he got placed on the IL. It has been just a little bit of a rough stretch. And for the most part, Corey Seager, when he struggles, it does not take him long to get out of it. And again, this is not some big, long, extended stretch. It's not like Marcus Semion's slump where it was, 2 months, the first 2 months of the season. We are talking about 17 games. And there was another stretch for the first 10, 12 games this season. But when you've only played 43 games in a season, you have 2 different 10, 15 game stretches where you're struggling. That's honestly most of your season. That's at least half of your season. It is just unsettling to watch, especially the other day against the White Sox, where I know it was against a lefty, but intentionally walking the bases loaded to face Corey Seager and then getting Corey Seager out. That is a sign that other teams are not fearing Corey Seager, that Corey Seager is not striking fear into the heart of the opponent. And there's one more split stat I want to go through that makes me really concerned and a big part of why this offense has not clicked yet. And if it doesn't, then this might be a reason it won't all year long. Talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Gametime. You ever decide at the last minute to head to the ball game with friends and family? Maybe it's a game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes it possible. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. The prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and the lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Gametime has last-minute tickets and zone deals with big savings like 10% off exclusive zone deals for FIFA Club Cup matches. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, there's one more thing that Corey Seager has been struggling with that makes me concerned, and it kind of explains a lot of what's been going wrong with this offense. And it's Corey Seager in the clutch. With runners in scoring position, Corey Seager, the Rangers in general have been awful hitting with runners in scoring position this year. A lot of that tends to be a little bit random. It tends to be, it tends to fluctuate a decent amount. But in 30, it's 30 plate appearances, so not exactly the largest sample size, but still, this year with 30 plate appearances with runners in scoring position, Corey Seager has 7 RBIs. 7. He's hitting 130. He has just 1 extra base hit, a double. He's 3 for 30 plate appearances, 3 for 23 at bats, 6 walks, 8 strikeouts. That's not good. That's more than a quarter of the time he is striking out with a runner in scoring position, not getting a productive at bat, not even getting, many sac flies. He has 1 sac fly all season long. He has a couple of intentional walks, which I don't know he'll be getting that many of those. Even his batting average on balls in play it's not like he's been getting unlucky. He has not been, hitting the ball hard or into the gaps or places where normally it would land for hit. His batting average on balls in play, his BABIP with runners in scoring position is 188. That's a little bit better than his actual batting average, but normally a BABIP would be around 300 or so. That's just not good. He has been really struggling with runners in scoring position, and he's getting a lot of the at-bats with runners in scoring position, which you would like. Ideally, Corey Seager, who is your highest paid bat, who is ideally your best bat, should be getting the bulk of your appearances, your plate appearances with runners in scoring position to do some damage. He just has not done that so far this year. He has struggled against lefties. He has struggled in general. He has struggled hitting the ball in the air with authority. He has struggled to get extra base hits, and that is a big part of this offense. I mean, Semien has been much better the last 10 games. He has just really been turning it on. Even the last 30, his numbers look significantly better with that, week-long stretch where he was just absolutely on fire against the Nationals and that series also against the Twins and the series before it. I can't remember exactly who the Rangers were playing there. Oh, it was the basically since that series against the Cardinals, he has been on fire in the month of June. Marcus Semien has been just aflame. And if you have so many of these at-bats with runners in scoring position in clutch situations with Corey Seager in there, and he is not right, I don't know if the hamstring issue is what's bothering him still. I don't know if he's just in his head or if he's still trying to work some things out. He's switched his batting stance, 2 or 3 times so far this year. It had really, really good results the first time he switched his batting stance. He was basically very, very straight up. It looked very different from what he had done in previous years to start this season. That was kind of a disaster. He went back something closer to what he had done before that series against the Cubs. That's when he went on that hot streak then. And then he's kind of tweaked some things a little bit since he's come off the IL, and it has not resulted in a lot of results. And so I think just getting Corey Seager right will help this offense quite a bit, help settle everybody down of like, okay, well, Corey Seager's not hitting, so I need to do everything for this offense. And that's not going to do. That's what this offense has been doing all season long. Of, oh, well, our best hitters aren't hitting. Jock Peterson isn't hitting. Corey Seager isn't hitting. So I need to fix everything single-handedly all by myself. Hopefully we'll get to see Josh Smith in this final game against Kansas City. He will hopefully be back after dealing with some left hamstring tightness. He had missed the last couple of games, was pulled early from that game against the White Sox. He has been the Rangers' best hitter so far this season. Getting Wyatt Langford back on track will hopefully be very, very helpful. We'll see. We'll see exactly what happens, but the Rangers just cannot afford to keep losing these games. This bullpen game is going to be very, very tough. The Rangers need every single bit of help. And maybe this team just isn't good enough. I mean, maybe this is just who they are. I thought that, eventually it seemed like this rotation would not be able to keep up this magical run of just being the best rotation in baseball. I did not think that they would be that. They are better than I expected, but especially with, so many guys coming back off of injuries who, you're having to be a lot more careful with DeGrom. Eovaldi is in his mid-30s, so you just got to be extra careful there. Tyler Mahle is also had 3 games since he came back from Tommy John surgery, and he didn't look particularly great in those games last year. And this year, he's already dealing with shoulder fatigue and has an indefinite return timeline placed on him. So, I mean, again, and also, we had 2 rookies that, are rookies and aren't necessarily ready, but are still stuck in the rotation. And the offense needed to step up and carry them and not have this bullpen pitch a million high leverage innings and having another bullpen game where probably a lot of these innings are going to be high leverage. I mean, it is just going to be a bit of a struggle, even with Michael Wacha on the mound, who's been fine, but eventually you got to figure out how to hit good pitching. You can't just keep taking advantage of the Twins having the worst series of their life with the starting rotation. At least they finally started taking advantage of somebody offensively, but it has just been really frustrating to watch. It seems like time is running out on this team, especially with, the Astros being absolutely on fire as of late. Even when the Rangers were winning, 7 out of 8 games or 8 out of 9 games, they still were not making really any ground up in the AL West standings. The Seattle Mariners have not been exactly great. As soon as the Rangers got themselves to 500, they have now got themselves back 2 games under 500. It has been frustrating to watch, and they need every single one of these games, which again makes me confused why they are going with a bullpen game again for the second time in the span of a week, the third time in the span of 2 weeks. It is just a lot to ask of a bullpen that is a little bit old and a little bit frustrating. And it's just going to keep getting worse. And it's not like there are reinforcements right now waiting at the minor league level to jump up and reinforce this bullpen. But I did want to talk about a little bit of minor league news to finish this episode off. One of the Rangers guys who I think is going to be on my midseason top 30 prospects. I think he has to. He was not on my preseason top 30 prospects. That is 19-year-old David Fitzgerald, who the Rangers drafted in the 5th round of the 2024 MLB draft out of Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. I believe he won 4 state titles, and in his first 31 games at the Arizona Complex League, he absolutely lit that league aflame. More walks than strikeouts, 17 walks, 15 strikeouts, hit over 300, 318, 423, 542 slash line. That is a 965 OPS with 6 doubles, 6 homers, 19 ribbies, and 5 stolen bases in 31 games. He looked incredible, and the Rangers have said, okay, you've learned all you need to learn from the Arizona Complex League. He has been promoted to low A Hickory. Yes, low A Hickory, no longer high A Hickory. High A is the Spartanburg, the Hub City Spartanburgers, but good on him. The Rangers' 5th round pick from last year. He has been the breakout bat in this Rangers system. One of the guys who, had decent upside, not a lot of big athletic, toolsy kind of a player, more of a, grit and grinder already, hitting for more power than I think the Rangers anticipated. In MLB Pipeline, they gave him 40 on a scale of 20 to 80 in terms of his future overall power. I think they gave him a 50 on his hit tool, but he's already hitting very, very well so far at the lowest level of stateside ball. It's good to see him get some already, full season ball as a teenager. That is a good sign that the Rangers are believing in what he is doing. It is not just a flash in the pan. He was dealing with some hamstring issues earlier on in the season. Otherwise, he would have been playing at least somewhere. I don't think there was really that much. They talk in the MLB Pipeline article about him having a delayed start to his season, but he started pretty quickly after the Arizona Complex League started up, and he has been hitting for basically every single game in there. Congratulations to Devin Fitzgerald, a bright star on an otherwise frustrating farm and a frustrating season so far for the Texas Rangers. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.